Hey y'all, welcome back to the Film School Dropout. My name is Jordan, your host, and this week we're going to be talking about increasing your surface area. So, something that I've been seeing a lot of people talk about online and, just on social media this year is rejection therapy. And so with rejection therapy, people are, creating challenges of like, I'm gonna get 100 no's, within this quarter, within this year. And they are like just reaching out for opportunities they might not have previously before the challenge. And they're just like going for it, right? And this is something that I wanna bring to the film school dropout because I believe that increasing your surface area is really important. It increases your luck, you know? There's a quote that says success is like, I don't know, whatever percentage of preparation and whatever percentage of luck. And then you have success. So I feel like you can play with those percentages however you want, but success is essentially a combination of the two. You can't have one without the other. And I think that speaks to the fact that some people in life are just quote unquote lucky. And some people in life are also extremely prepared for whenever the opportunity approaches them. You know what I mean? So today, with talking about increasing your surface area, it means increasing your luck, you know? I have a friend who runs an extremely successful business and moved to New York. And she literally posted on her story this week and was like, I moved to New York to increase my surface area, to increase my exposure and chances for luck. And I would say, honestly, that's what I did as well. Or that's part of the reason why I moved to New York as well. That's part of the reason why I decided to join an MBA program and get my MBA. Is part of why I like went into film school and like wanted to get exposed to the filmmaking community, because whenever you increase those connection points, you don't know what doors you're opening at the time. So, something that's really funny, I'm just coming back from a movie night with some friends that I organized in Harlem, and my college roommate ended up having a connection with one of the actresses on the short film that I produced's boyfriend, or actually, it's both of their friends, but they had a connection. Like, the roommate of this couple worked with my college roommate. They're from the Midwest, we're from Texas. It was like a crazy coincidence. If you've ever heard of the 6 degrees of separation, that's whenever it's like, say you take me and you take Oprah, and there's really only 6 degrees of separation between me and Oprah as far as like the people that we know. I forget when this study or research was done, but that's what they tracked. And then I read a quote or some research, and I promise it wasn't a TikTok, but with the age of social media, that number, the degrees of separation, has now decreased to 3. So there's probably like 3 degrees of separation between me and LeBron James, or you and Barack Obama. And it's like, you wouldn't think it, but if you really went through all the people both of you guys know at any point in time, either someone you know has met him or interacted with him, worked with him. And that's just how small the world is today. And I say all that to say that increasing your surface area can look like a lot of different things, but it increases your chances to have more luck because you're having a little bit more of those connection points and familiarity where you never know it will lead you. So, I'm going to talk about a few of the events that I've been to recently in New York that I have been choosing to go to because I have this in mind of like increasing my surface area. before I even go there, I'm going to talk about one of my internships that I had with my MBA program. Really, the only internship I had with my MBA program, but it was with Apple TV out in LA. And I remember whenever they told me, okay, you're going to be in LA, I was like, dang, I'm going to have FOMO. Like, I'm missing out on the New York summer. But that was like, it was like a very brief kind of fleeting feeling, but I did have it. But I remember when I got there, my manager was like, yeah, like you technically could have done this role in New York, but I thought it would be good to have you in LA and like to see how the team works and, you know, just be with us. And she was 100% right, because being in LA really expanded my worldview in a way, because I used to be a huge LA hater. I'm still not the biggest fan, but I like her now. You know, we get along, and it's like I had friends in LA before I lived there over the summer, but now there's more. There's like deeper connections I have with people who I might have been more on a surface level before. We got to spend more time together. I got to meet people. I got to meet people that are actually based in New York but have ties in LA. And so that experience going out to LA, spending the summer there, increased my surface area. Not only literally that I had an actual physical footprint in LA for the summer, but also just in the relationships that I have, like, and my familiarity with that coast and with that city. And I don't know what is going to come of that, but I know that I feel a little more comfortable there. I feel a little bit more familiar. So it's like if I do need to go to LA, if I have business to do out there, I have a little more surface area. I have a little more people I can get in contact with if I need to get in touch with a stylist or get in touch with the producer. So that's one example. So now when it comes back to being in New York, I'm in the process of writing and directing my first short film. And I'm not doing it with any like film school ties. I'm working with people that I met in film school, back to the surface area thing. But, you know, it's an independently produced short. So when it comes to surface area, I have attended a mixer hosted by an actress and filmmaker here in Harlem that I was informed about through a group chat. And I was like on the fence about going. It was kind of raining that day, but I was like, let me go. Why not? Right? Like, let me go and increase the surface area. And I went, and it was a really fruitful experience. And I ran into 3 other like NYU grad film and acting alumni, and we all got dinner. We had a great time. And again, it deepened like a connection point and touch point, and increased surface area, not only with just the people I know from NYU, but also the new people in the room, and even just the coffee shop we were at in Harlem. Like, now I know of a new coffee shop in Harlem I didn't know about before, that a lot of artists and creatives spend time working out of, or that if I ever wanted to host my own event, now I've been to this space before. So that was a really dope event I went to in March. And then another one was called Greenlight Yourself. And I found out about this event through Threads. I'm not gonna lie, I do be on Threads. I'm not a big Twitter person, but I like Threads. And Threads just feels like a wholesome version of Twitter. I don't know. But I found out about it through this woman. Her at name is Jerica Says, I believe. And she's worked all over the industry. And she hosts these events called Greenlight Yourself to empower, you know, writers, directors, creatives to connect with each other and like, you know, build teams to ultimately greenlight yourself, which is AKA something that I'm doing right now. And so I went to that event one day after class, and I was really tired. I was just not really feeling it. But the event was not far from NYU. So I was like, let me go. And I went, and it was towards the end of the event because I was going after one of my night classes. And I got in there. I was immediately overstimulated. I was not feeling it. But I told myself, I was like, Jordan, you know, like, just tap in, lean in, keep going. And I talk to at least 2 new people. And sometimes that's all you need to do. Like, you don't have to go to some of these networking events and mixers and feel like the belle of the ball or like you did your biggest one. You know what I mean? But it's like, even if you introduce yourself to a couple of people, that is a win. Especially if you're somebody that's a little more shy or something like that. I am an extreme extrovert, but even that night, I was pretty tired. I wasn't really feeling it. But I was like, do it. You're already here. I met these 2 cool guys. They were just chill. Like, I also appreciate, like, not every time you need to connect with someone on social media just because y'all had a nice chat at a bar. Like, and I appreciate we were both kind of on that same page. Like, this was a nice little chat. Have a great night, and that's cool. That's still increasing your surface area because you never know when you're going to run into someone again. But then I was like, all right, I did a little lap. I was overstimulated. So I go downstairs. I'm getting ready to head out. And in between that time, I said hello to a couple of people, exchanged a couple of compliments and things like that. But on my way out, there was this group of people chatting. They seemed really cool, and it was quieter. They were like kind of the only group talking to each other, while there was like everyone else were just normal patrons of the bar. You could tell that they weren't with the event. And so I was like, oh, hey guys, like, did y'all happen to be part of the event? They're like, we were, but then we were like, we had to go. And I was like, I get it. I was kind of overstimulated down there. And they were like, or up there, because it was upstairs. They were like, yes, us too. And like, ended up having a really fun conversation with them where we were like really chatting the whole time. The creator of the event ended up knowing them and came down there, and she was talking about her thoughts around grad school and the MBA. And I was like, yeah, I'm happy to chat with you about it. I told her about the podcast because I was like, I get it with film school versus MBA. It's like a whole thing. And then one of the guys that was in the group is the COO of Blavity, which is like a huge Black media company. So it's just like, you never know who you're talking to. And I was not talking to them for that reason. It was truly because I just wanted to not leave the event without meeting anyone new. And I ended up meeting very interesting and cool people. Like, we also just had nice laughs, nice chat. And I'm sharing this experience just for anyone who's listening who especially might be more anxious in social settings, that one, it's okay. Everybody gets anxious. And like, sometimes you enter into, especially in a place like New York, sometimes you enter into these rooms and it just feels like, blah, 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 blah. Like, it just literally feels like people just yapping into space, which, like, sometimes that's all that's happening. Even at MBA mixers, sometimes it's just yapping, which is cool. We love a conversationalist, but it can just be overwhelming if you're coming into it and you're like, okay, what am I supposed to do here? Everybody's talking in their own, like, small conversations. But I'm sharing this to share that, like, it's okay. And just push yourself just beyond that state of uncomfortability, because you're increasing your surface area. And that is something that's worth doing, especially in today's day and age. You create your own luck. As even with content creators, they are expanding their surface area by posting their videos, posting their hauls, posting their photos, expanding their reach, expanding the opportunity that a brand might reach out to them and change their life. And it's like, a brand trip is what we see. What we don't see are those commas in the bank account, okay? That's that. So increasing your surface area can be online, it can be offline, it can be both. But it's worth pursuing and worth taking seriously, because that's just the world we live in now. I don't believe in things being oversaturated, but I can say and admit that like we have like a crowded market, you know, there's like a lot of people wanting to try a lot of things. And that, yes, that has always been the case, but nowadays the awareness is heightened, so everything is hyper visible. So whether you want to be a singer, a DJ, an artist, even like a lawyer, like someone can go on Google and find so many of those things. Like a brand can be looking for creators or somebody looking for podcasts and see 100, you know, or 1,000. So what we have to do is increase our surface area, increase the exposure. And it doesn't have to be in a way of like, oh, I have to try and be famous. It's not that, but it's about like, what can I expose myself to today that could potentially open a door for me in the future? And not in a superficial way, but in a genuine way. So the last example that I'll share is I joined this cohort called the Anti-Gravity Academy, and it's founded by two indie filmmakers who wanted to increase access for other indie filmmakers, particularly of color, just providing them with resources and community. And it's been a really great experience thus far. There's like these virtual sessions that happen on Sundays. I've been busy during all the sessions, but they keep them recorded for a couple weeks. It was like $100 for 6 weeks of sessions, and they've had industry professionals come in. They hold office hours, and tomorrow they're doing an event in Brooklyn. So I'm gonna go to the event and hopefully like meet some people who are in the cohort, chat it up, and one of my friends from school is actually going as well. And so it should be really nice. And it's things like that that if you just keep your eyes and ears open, I just implore everyone to like try, you know? Think about ways that you can increase your surface area this week or next. And don't let, you know, the social anxiety or the posting anxiety hold you back from increasing that. And ways that this looks like is like going to a new class. It can be even like a free salsa class. Those are all over New York. It can look like posting a video of you talking. It can look like gathering some friends together that maybe haven't met each other and saying, hey, let's all get together. That's where I'm coming home from right now. I did like a movie night with some mutual, or like with friends that I know from different parts of my life, and said, hey guys, let's all go to the movies. And then there was like a connection between friends from two different walks of life. But if I never, you know, organized it or had us come together, that connection, that like surface area, maybe it would be discovered one day, but it happened the way it did today because, you know, I said, hey guys, let's all get together. So there's just a lot of value in putting yourself out there and putting yourself in the rooms where the conversations that you want to be having are being had. And that is one of the big things that I'm keeping top of mind for myself. Like, what rooms do I want to be in? How can I put myself there? And whenever I am there, like, how am I going to connect? And a lot of times I'm not super strategic about it. I like things to be organic, but the part that I am strategic about is kind of thinking about, where do I want to be? What are the conversations I want to have? How can I increase my surface area to do so? And in order to do that, you do have to have somewhat of like an ego death, because you just can't overthink it. You can't stress about it. You just have to do it. And that is, you know, the lesson of the week. Think about ways that you can increase your surface area, events that are happening in your local communities or virtual online communities, and tap in, lean in, meet somebody new, send a DM. You know what I mean? So don't be scared. Like, I implore you to go beyond your fear and increase your surface area this week. And let me know how it goes for you. Let us know in the Film School Dropout chat that doesn't necessarily exist yet, but it can exist in the comments. But yeah, that's my, drizzle for today. And drizzle is crazy. But yeah, those are my words for today. And I'm looking forward to the next episode. Who knows what we're going to be yapping about? April is getting really busy really fast, and I'm graduating in like just about a month. So time flies. There will be lots to discuss. Like I said, I'm going to get some guests on here soon, but for now, you just get to hear me yap and talk about increasing my surface area. The last thing I'll say is think about your summer plans when it comes to surface area, whether it's spending a month in a new city and like swapping apartments with a friend or with someone you know, or whether it's attending a conference or an event or a film festival. Consider those things because that is increasing your surface area. Me volunteering at Sundance expanded my surface area, and it helped me like expand my worldview too, to be honest. I got to see amazing talks and conversations and movies and like meeting people that have worked at the festival that know it really deeply, and that was a profound experience. So just consider those things that will enrich you and enrich your soul and your interests, and go for them. The only thing that is holding us back from whatever we want to do is all in the mind. There might be some actual like physical or financial barriers, but a lot of it is just in the mind. So put yourself in those rooms, step out of the comfort zone, and increase your surface area, because you never know what's going to come. And we're currently in the age where we can't afford not to do those things. So be blessed, have a great week, and I'll see you on the next episode of Film School Dropout.